China Friday announced that it will ease restrictions on its decades-old one-child policy. The practice limits couples to having only one child or pay a fine if they have more. While supporters hailed the policy for curbing China's booming population of 1 billion, many human rights groups complain the policy has led to forced abortions, abandoned children, and increase in crime. Ann Lee is a former professor at Peking University and an author who specializes in China's economic relations, and she's here to talk about this policy. Welcome to Arise America.
Thanks for having me.
Good to have you. Can you speculate why the relaxation of this policy now?
Yes, I feel that they believe the benefits and the drawbacks are probably weighing on top of towards the benefits at this point, largely because when they first implemented this policy, China basically was having over 4 kids per woman per family, and now it's more or less around 1, right? So it's been successful in sort of keeping the population from getting out of control, even though they still have a large population. Think about it. China and the United States has roughly the same land mass, but China has about 4 times as many people as we do. So it puts a real strain on their resources. And when you have too many poor people, that is even more strain on the government to try to kind of keep everyone on welfare. So it made sense then, but now that a lot of the women are getting very educated and have lots of career prospects, they're following the same trends that we're seeing in the developed world, where they delay having children in favor of career opportunities. So basically what they're seeing is that they think this problem will take care of itself. So if they relax this, then it probably won't change the current trends anyway, but it would be a nice psychological relief to the population, the citizens there.
I've got a couple of questions in this regard. Well, first of all, there's been calls for the relaxation of this by human rights groups for quite some time, and discussion about this, and it hasn't happened while President Xi Jinping has done that. So what do you make of that, first of all? And do you think the motivation, second part of the question, is humanitarian, is economic, is political? What's your speculation there?
Yes, I think it's probably all of these things coming together, right? So Xi Jinping clearly has had more political capital than his predecessor, Hu Jintao. And I basically think that he was able to convince a lot of people who are resistant to changing the policy to fall into his camp and try to liberalize it a little more. And he's doing this not only because he knows that the long-term demographic trends are probably going to be favorable in terms of keeping population under control, but they also want to send a more positive signal to the developed world saying, yes, we hear you, we're trying to move into more democratic norms.
Well, what's the reaction that you might understand of the relaxation of this policy in the Chinese public?
I believe that they're going to welcome this because this policy is mostly directed at the urban young professionals, because they already make exceptions to the one-child policy for minorities like the Muslims there. They make exceptions for rural workers who, if they have a female child, they're allowed to have another one. So there are plenty of exceptions. The ones who basically aren't allowed to are the educated, wealthy, urban folks living near the coast. And so now that you open this up, it's basically saying, hey, the people who can spend money, you're allowed to have more children. And so some of these women may take advantage of this fact, and it's a nice psychological boost, right? And I believe that when this, in conjunction with all the other economic reforms that have been announced, which have been really sweeping, I would say, and very impressive, this will give more consumer confidence to the Chinese citizens, and therefore they're going to be more apt to spend more in the near future.
I was going to just ask you that question. What you just touched on or alluded to, are these changes perhaps a reflection of China's growth as an economic power globally?
Certainly, they have definitely advanced economically, but they're making other advances socially, right? So they are developing a stronger social safety net for their citizens in terms of pensions and other facts. And they really want to push forward the idea of becoming a more service-oriented economy and a more consumption-oriented in order to address the big environmental concerns that the Industrial Revolution has had on them.
All right, very interesting indeed. Ann Lee, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And this is Arise America.